Hey, I just wanted to share with you my favourite Pink Floyd albums. Actually, all my Pink Floyd albums, roughly from least favourite to favourite. So first of all, probably not a surprise to a lot of people, a momentary lapse of reason, which kind of says it all for the album. I really wanted to like it because it was their first, it was like their comeback album in the late 80s. It sounds so 80s, but being Pink Floyd, I still love it. More is kind of, it's a bit bitsy, a little bit of everything, and you can tell they kind of rushed it. Relics, it's just a collection. I like a lot of the songs. I love Cirrus Minor and Julia Dream, magnificent. And this is another collection of songs, Pink Floyd Works. The little can of pink paint there, can you see that? Once again, it's just a collection, a bit of a weird collection when you look at it. It's got a rare track that was never released anywhere else called Embryo, and that was the studio version of that track. There's a better live version in my opinion. The Division Bell, again, I really wanted to like it, and I do like it a lot better than Momentary Lapse. Again, it just sounds of its era, kind of a little bit dated musically, but look, the songs are much better. They sound more cohesive as a band. Final Cut, I listened to this a lot when it first came out. I bought it brand new on the day it was released, and look, I do love it, but it definitely is a Roger Waters solo album. Ummagumma, this is the new remastered version. Love this album. The studio album's a bit weird, but love everything about it. David's The Narrow Way, that would have been an incredible album on its own. Collection of great dance songs. I should have put this a bit earlier. This is another kind of weird collection when you think about it, a little bit unnecessary. Known for the re-recording of Money. That's about it really. A bit of a cash-in, I guess. These two kind of go together, a nice pair and A Saucer Full of Secrets. A nice pair is actually the first album, Piper at the Gates of Dawn and A Saucer Full of Secrets. I don't care for Piper at the Gates of Dawn, you know, hang me. I was never a fan of Syd Barrett, I just didn't like that vibe. But I used to play this when I was young and just look at the photos, just fascinated by the photos. Saucer Full of Secrets is a fantastic album. There's a little bit of Syd on there, but that's alright. The song Saucer Full of Secrets, that's a precursor to what they would become. It's a great cover, really good album. Obscured by Clouds, it's a little bit like More, being a soundtrack, but they sound more cohesive as a band, and you can tell they're using a lot of the instruments that would later appear on Metal and probably even Dark Side of the Moon, some of the synthesizers. You can just tell they're getting to that sound that would later become very famous. Animals, fantastic. Saw Roger Waters performing it last year. Wonderful. It is a little bit like a Roger Waters solo album, and it's kind of a precursor to The Wall. The Wall, I rushed out and bought this the day it was released, and what an incredible experience for a teenager. Looking back on it, it's probably not the most Pink Floyd of Pink Floyd albums. It kind of doesn't make sense to say that, but I still love it. And there's well, it's a classic, isn't it? Atom Heart Mother. This is really when they were starting to turn into the band that would create. The cat's got something. It's when they really started to come into their own, I think. Long songs that took up a whole side of a record, instrumental, fantastic. The Endless River, which is their last album. You might be surprised that this is high up in my list, but I think this is a really wonderful album, really well put together. It ticks all the right boxes for me, gives me goosebumps when I listen to it. It sounds like Pink Floyd. There's not too much singing, just really fantastic instrumental music, even though it is basically outtakes. They've put it together really well. Wish You Were Here, what can you say? Just an incredible experience. Classic album. Dark Side of the Moon, again, what can you say? Yeah, actually, there's no point saying anything. It's just there you go, I can't say anything. And my favourite Pink Floyd album of all time, and it might have been the first one I ever heard, but all of the songs, with the exception of Seamus, the one, you know, with the dog howling. Why did they do that? But anyway, the rest of the album makes up for it, and the second side, of course, Echoes. That's been a huge influence on me, and musically I've been wanting to rip it off ever since. I love this album. A few little extra bits and pieces. That's a bootleg of The Wall. I bought that in the early 80s. Not the world's greatest recording, but it's good to listen to. And there's a track on here that wasn't actually on the Wall album. I forget the name of it, but it was good to hear that. And Richard Wright's solo album, Wet Dream, which I reckon would have made a fantastic Pink Floyd album if the other guys had been involved. Actually, I think David was involved in this. Anyway, it's a really, really good album, very atmospheric and moody, and just has a nice Pink Floyd-y feel. So that's it, that's my lot. They're my favourite Pink Floyd albums, from least favourite, but still love it, to favourite. Yeah, I love them all. So there you go. See ya.